This is, I think, video 6 or 7, but anyways, we're going to continue. There's the 4 long threaded rods.
Okay, when you put the 2 sections together, Matt, this is the first thing you do to bolt the sections together, and then those 4 little screws, which we have in this bag, along with the bolts that go in the back of the head to attach the back lane. Make sure the washer's on there because it could make a difference.
Yep.
You definitely don't want to poke it through the Formica. That washer might be just enough space. You can tighten them right up and won't poke through as long as the washer's on.
Right.
Those 4 you put in last after everything's tight.
Right. We showed them on the board in the very first video we did. Yeah. Those 4 little screws you take out.
Okay, Matt, here we go. What you want to do is slowly, well, you'll be pushing this together.
Right.
Before you push it all the way together, you know, actually, I forgot. If you have a mop pill, I think that's what I used the last time. I have an oversized mop pill there, but oh, that's good. A mop pill works perfect, or anything you got that's relatively 10 inches high, I'd say.
Okay.
See, there you go there.
All right, so Timmy just separated this section. Now you could see what I was talking about, where we pulled those 4 screws right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
What that does, Matt, is make sure that the Formicas are perfectly even and flush.
Right. Then we put the 4 carriage bolts. So when you put this back together, there's one thing, and we're going to get into this plug here because this plug is very important.
This thing's nice.
But when you push this together, after you plug this plug in, we'll describe that in a second, and this board, you put the 4 long threaded rods in, and then the 4 screws.
What I would do, Matt, like you'll see later on when we take that part apart, what I would do is put this on first and forget about the 4 bolts for now. I would put this on first because, as you can see, this has to be lifted slightly, and that's what those 4 long bolts do, lift it up slightly. So I would leave those 4 bolts out of it so it has play, and definitely if it did drop, if something crazy happened, you're not hurting anything. It'll just drop.
So what you're saying is you set the head up, you put this piece on here, right? Obviously you need something that nothing.
Forget about the wires, forget about the bolts.
Right.
Just set this back piece up. You know, you don't want to pick it up from here at all, trust me. That's a weak spot. You know, make sure they get a good grip under here.
Right.
Under here would be all right. There's a little lip, which once you put it, you tuck it back, let it down, and she sits right on
Yeah, there's a little lip.
And it's angled like this, so it kind of hooks. It won't slide this way.
Well, just remember, Matt, this pin deck is fragile. You never want to pull up on this or grab it or anything like this. When you're dealing with this machine, you're dealing with the bottom portion, the hardwood, as far as picking up and stuff. Never be pulling up on this pin deck.
And you really don't want any weight on here also. Just the way it sits, relax is nice.
All right, so you really, Matt, you got 3 pieces. You've got this big long head. You've got this back lane section here that sits on a little ledge. And then what you do is you set that up, put your lane section on, don't hook anything up like Tim said, and then prop it up on a piece of wood.
Yeah, you want the wood here, Matt, right from the get-go. You know, you could set it down and let it sit on the floor like on a blanket so you don't hurt the edges, and then pick it up and prop it. But this is relatively 8 inches. You want them ready. So when you sit on that lip, you got this under here. And now your next step would be your mop pail and getting this part in this position.
Now,
before you hook anything up from the hood.
All right, now the most important part is there's a male and female plug here.
Now, as you can see, Matt, I don't know how good this camera is.
It's good.
But as you can see, there's a little groove there. That's the female, and there's a male that fits in that groove. So in other words,
let me point it out right here. There's right on this tip right there. You could see how there's a little groove that comes out. You can sort of see it.
You can see the female maybe even better.
Here, let me.
See that female? Now you can understand that male tip goes into there. I'll offset it just to show you. There's no possible way these plugs will fit in any other hole unless that groove is matched up with its mate.
Right.
The female's matched up with the male. It won't plug any other way. So that way you know the prongs are sitting in its proper hole and has the right current going to the right spot. It's easy to do though, Matt. See?
Yep.
Male, female.
Plug them in.
Plug them in.
Okay.
Then needs to say I put this in here, and I'll just slip this a little bit together for you. Needless to say, make sure this is here. Now you just have to watch that the wires doesn't get pinched. Kind of help it along. And once it's to a certain point, I gotta be at the end.
Yeah, you got to be at the
Of
end.
course, you'll probably have two people here.
2 or 3 helpers.
Ricky can't help me because he's holding that light in the camera.
Right, and then
I've
that-
done this alone many times, but with
Right.
a second person, piece of cake.
There you go. So
That's
go
what
ahead,
it's
go
all
ahead and
about.
separate it now, back, and you can see the wiring harness is right there with the plug. Now, in
And
order,
she's long enough so you can.
Right.
You got plenty of play, so you can
right,
stick both hands.
and
in
that
there easily.
that works the power button up there and start the game. So that plug is what you need.
And the power switch.
Right.
Yeah.
So those will be tucked in the holes for each side. See,
I hope I didn't tuck them in too far. There you go. I'll tuck them in a little bit. You might need a little wire because I don't want it sticking out on travel,
Right.
man. So you might need a little wire with a hook on to grab it, but it's only in there like 3-4 inches.
right, we're going to shrink wrap here all the edges of these both sides of this machine. So
Okay.
that's it.
That's it for this
All
part.
right, let's go ahead and start.
This is totally.